Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. It's been a while since we've done a list video, and I was feeling like making a list video today, so that's what we got. Today's list is 10 knives that have awesome spine jimping. This is not a top 10 list, because I like to treat my list videos like Hollywood blockbuster movies. I leave the ending, I like to leave it open-ended in case I want to make further installments. So, if you say it's the top 10 best something, and that, you're kind of limiting yourself. So I just like to show 10 knives that have great jimping, and then maybe sometime down the road I can do 10 more knives that have great jimping. But let's talk a little bit about jimping first before we get into the list. So, jimping is this stuff here. We're talking about spine jimping, specifically not flipper tab jimping, but basically little ridges or grooves cut into the metal that allow you to get grip on a knife. Now, I've complained about jimping in quite a few of my reviews because, in my opinion, very few knives actually get jimping completely right. This VV Elementum does not get it right. This jimping here isn't really as grabby as I would like it to be. It's actually not the worst. There's a lot of jimping that's far less functional than this, but it also doesn't come out very far. So when I choke up into here, I want my finger here, there's no jimping. And so I think those are kind of the two biggest issues with jimping on a lot of knives. It doesn't come out far enough, and it's not quite grippy enough. Or it's way too grippy, which is also an issue. A better example of a knife that doesn't have enough jimping would be like this VV Baby Banter. Let's focus in on here, camera. Thank you. If you keep your thumb back like that, it's okay. Still not a whole lot of it, but I really wish it came out a little bit further. So, with all that out of the way, let's get into the list. So, the first one up, in no particular order, keep that in mind. Oops. First one up is the Cold Steel 8015. This one's a little bit, I can see this one being a little bit controversial, showing up here on the list, because this jimping is actually pretty sharp, and it's very big. However, the reason it's on this list is because, for me, it's a little bit sharp, a little bit too sharp, but when you have gloves on, this is absolutely perfect jimping. Perfect. And this is the type of knife that you really want to use with gloves, a lot more than certain other types of knives. This is probably my favorite folding work knife ever. The ergonomics are just so good with gloves on. You really, really can feel that jimping through gloves. A lot of times jimping when you're wearing gloves kind of loses its effect. Certain types of jimping, even if they feel good under your finger, they prove to be not so grippy when you're wearing gloves. This knife, perfectly suited for gloves. Maybe a little bit too hard on your bare skin. So if this was a video in particular order, this would be at the bottom, but the jimping there does work exceptionally well with gloves. And for me personally, it's not super offensive with bare hands. But that is the Cold Steel 8015. Love that knife. Next up, this is the Simcut episode, and this knife has really, really nice jimping. The jimping itself is not textured super grippily. It is kind of smooth. However, since it sits at the back of this harpoon blade shape, yeah, it works a lot better. And overall, when you're holding this knife, you feel like you have a very secure grip. I can really get some really nice, powerful cuts and slices done with this, and not worry about the knife coming out of my hand. So yeah, Simcut episode, really, really nice. Next up, a knife that I always quote as having just fabulous jimping. This is a Bestech Paladin. Look at that jimping. This is what I call file-like jimping. See how fine it is? When you hold this knife, that jimping lands exactly where it needs to. This knife really only has one grip, but man, it's comfortable, and that jimping is just so nice. I mean, you can see there, it grabs your thumb and it holds on. And that's exactly what you want jimping to do. When I have this knife in hand, there is absolutely zero chance of me accidentally dropping it, it getting pulled out of my grip or anything like that. And this just, being able to put your thumb comfortably on the spine of a knife allows you to push down, get a little bit of added power to your cuts. So yeah, just absolutely amazing jimping. Very fine, feels very comfortable, but very grippy at the same time. Awesome. Next up, this is the Tucson TS301. And this jimping is kind of similar to that episode we looked at just a little bit ago. The jimping itself, there's not a whole lot of it. And it's, you know, it's more grippy than the episode. But the best thing about it is how it comes up here into this harpoon. Yeah, this knife just fits your hand so well. And especially on a knife that is otherwise a very neutral grip, there's not a whole lot locking you in here. Having that jimping up there is what you need to really give yourself not just a comfortable grip, but a secure grip. So the rest of the knife very comfortable, and here is where you get your security. Really, really nice. Again, powerful slicing knife. Jimping works fantastic in helping you get that power you need for some of those tougher cuts. Great, great knife. And all the knives that we've seen so far, I do have reviews of, so you can go check those out. Not all of these will have reviews, though. I'll try and remember to let you know. Next, the Spyderco PM2. I don't have a review on this knife, but I do have a video about it. Yeah, perfect jimping. The way that jimping goes up into that thumb ramp, and look at this. Again, it's that file-like jimping that I absolutely love. Comfortable, but dang it, you are locked in. I mean, this is a knife in either grip, like this, like this. This knife is not going anywhere. I can really, really work with this for a long time in a variety of conditions, and I don't have to worry about dropping this knife. And the jimping, look at my thumb there. If I'm pushing really hard into it, I feel it grabbing me, but it's not painful. Very, very nice jimping. The PM2 is a classic, and, you know, I do think in a lot of ways it set the bar for a bunch of things in the knife community, and good jimping is probably one of them. You can see it does even come back down here onto the handle, but we're not talking about the handle. We're more just focused on jimping on the spine of the blade. But really, really fantastic. Love that. Alrighty, moving on. We have a knife that probably most of you are somewhat familiar with. This is the Kizer Lan, the Tonto version. Look at that jimping. This is absolutely perfect jimping. It's got the, it's a fine file-like jimping, but there's also so much of it. They don't cut you off short. They give you, oh yeah, all the jimping you need. Very comfortable jimping. This knife, you can kind of choke up on this flipper tab a little bit for more powerful cuts. Very good jimping, comfortable. They give you a lot of it. I just really like seeing that. I know this knife is mostly known for that action, but for me, the thing about this knife that I like the most is that jimping, because man, oh man. Yeah, they did really, really good there. Awesome. Love to see that. And ouch. Huh. I caught myself with the blade a little bit right there on the drop. Oops. That's okay. It's just a little tiny cut. We're going to keep going. So we went from a knife that I was sure a lot of you are very familiar with to a knife that a lot of you probably aren't familiar with. This is the Camillus LK6. And there's the jimping. It's exactly where I want it for this type of a grip of a knife. And man, it just really it makes this knife feel like a very, very powerful cutter. This is a smaller knife, but it's a chunky knife, and that jimping allows you to really get a solid hold on it, coupled with this big finger choil. Very, very nice grip. Just really, really nice. Review of this knife, of this blade, is coming soon. Oh, the Kizer Lan has not been reviewed yet, but it will be. Review of this knife coming fairly soon. But yeah, just a really, really ergonomic fifth pocket carry. Chunky boy, but man, you feel locked in when you hold this knife. You are locked in. And I like to see that. Alrighty, next up, a knife that, one of the first knives I ever reviewed, and a knife that holds a place near and dear to me. This is the Kershaw Highball. I love this knife. This is such a cool little knife. And one of the reasons I love it, yeah, look at that jimping. I mean, this knife is smooth aluminum, or steel, my bad. Smooth steel. It's a smaller knife, so there's not a whole lot to hold on to. But when you get your thumb in that, again, really fine jimping, yeah, you can get a good grip on this knife. Very, very solid. Just a really good knife with some really, really excellent jimping. Like that a whole lot. Next up, we're going from budget to a little more high-end, $200. This is the Concept L6, although there is a smaller version, or not smaller, less expensive version of this knife. There's a budget version of this knife. A couple of different versions of this knife in high-end, budget, and kind of mid-tier categories. Review coming soon. But this jimping, number one, let's look at it real close. It's fairly fine, but the thing I really like about it is the placement. When I'm back here, I can get my thumb up on there. When I'm choked up, this is where that jimping really works good. I wish some of this jimping on the handle was up here for when you're choked back, but again, we're only talking about the blade jimping. Very, very solid in your hand. You can really, really feel it gripping you back. This knife overall just feels so secure and comfortable in my hand. When you're choked up in here, yeah, this is nice. This is really, really nice. This is jimping done right. You can tell that when Mikkel Willemsen designed this, he really paid attention to where that jimping was going to be. And yeah, he made it fit in perfectly. Really, really nice. And then the last knife on this list is one that has just superbly excellent jimping and is excellent in a lot of other ways too. Let's get it out here. Yeah, it's the 80 20.5 review coming soon, but maybe it's already done by the time you see this video. I don't know. But just excellent, excellent jimping here on the blade. Again, shaped well, and they bring it out all the way to right before the clip starts. Yeah, this knife just fits in my hand so well, and that jimping works when I'm back here or when I'm choked up equally well. Very, very grippy, feels solid, well shaped, not uncomfortable, but definitely grips you back. And fantastic jimping. I wish all knives had jimping as good as this one does. And there we go. That's going to be the end of the list. I know this was kind of a weird list, but I think jimping's important. And, good jimping can really, really add a lot to the ergonomics of a knife, can really, really make a difference in actual use. And it's something that I just notice as kind of being a little bit hit or miss in a lot of knives. Oh, actually one knife I just remembered I have lying around here that displays pretty non-functional jimping is this Sativian. Let's look at that jimping there. Yeah, that should come out a lot further, and it's just, it's not grippy at all. So, yeah. Jimping is something that I really look into in depth when it comes to knife reviews, and these are just 10 knives that I think do it right. So, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you didn't like the video, comment below telling me why not. I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.